Welcome to Journeys of Empowerment, where real stories, raw truth and powerful shifts come to life. I'm 𝗪𝗫 𝗪𝗲, and around here, we don't do small talk. We spark transformation. Let's go! Before we dive in, here's something that might just change the way you lead. Still trying to motivate people to change? Stop. That's the problem. 𝗪𝗫 flips the script with a method that actually works. No gimmicks, no fluff. In the awareness workshop you'll learn why most change efforts crash, how to build behavior that sticks, and what it takes to lead a team that owns it. Change shouldn't drain you, it should drive you. Dare to lead different? Visit 𝗪𝗫.nl. What if the therapist you needed at 15 was the one you built at 25? In this episode I speak with Kuhu Singh, founder of 𝗪𝗵, an AI-powered mental health companion born from personal pain, built with purpose, and now supporting hundreds of users around the world. From depression and burnout to tech innovation and healing, Kuhu's journey proves that you don't need to be whole to start. You just need to be willing. We unpack how 𝗪𝗵 went from diary idea to startup, why affordability and cultural sensitivity in mental health can't wait, and how empathy, when coded right, can scale support across borders. This isn't just about AI. It's about turning wounds into wisdom and coding a future where healing is always within reach. Let's tap in. Cool. Welcome. I'm so happy that you're here.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for having me, 𝗪𝗫.
Finally. The pre-recorded, of course, introduction is always a high over of what you're doing right now. So who better to ask what you're specifically doing and what you're trying to achieve than to yourself?
Yes. I'm Kuhu, and I'm building 𝗪𝗵, which is essentially an AI therapist. I know it's sort of controversial, but I only call it an AI therapist because it's easy to market it, to reach the right people. But it is sort of like your personal therapist who you can talk to at any moment. It is available 24/7, so that's a good thing. So if you need it in the middle of the night, you can always go ahead and talk to it. But yeah, I honestly just wanted to help people, and I built something that you can just talk to about your feelings.
Interesting. And where does the idea come from?
I think a lot of it comes from my own personal story and, mission, sort of. Something I've aligned with a lot for a lot of years is mental health. It's funny you ask, because I think I just pulled up, I was clearing out my drawers because we just moved, and I found this diary of mine, which had this whole idea in it. And this is pre-AI, right? So I wrote this idea that, hey, what if we had some like a chatbot or something who you can talk to, who is like a therapist, and a lot of what I built right now, but I only found it now. So I think my 18 or 17-year-old self.
Were you 17 years old when you read that down?
I was, and I completely forgot about it because I went to uni, I picked up a marketing job. I completely forgot about that, because it was just, I have this habit of scribbling out ideas. And this was one of them, which was in there, and I had written like a whole page about it. So I think it probably comes from my 17, 18-year-old self who really just, wanted someone to talk to at that point. And I didn't have that. So, yeah.
Wow. So, and that get me curious, because only being 16 years old, and there wasn't AI, and there wasn't really high-tech tech like there is now. Can you recall what kind of imagination you had around that idea?
I think the first thing that was, I probably didn't imagine what the platform was going to be like. What I did imagine was that it would be affordable. Because I think especially when I remember back to, when I was even before that, 14, 15 years of age, and I come from India, therapy at that time wasn't something which is, really something that you take your kids to. Maybe some parents do, but not mine. They didn't really believe in it. And I was really struggling because we just moved cities and I left my entire friend group behind. I was really lonely, and I think that's sort of what it came from, because I could not afford therapy. I couldn't pay even in INR, I couldn't pay that much amount of money. So I think the first thing was that I should have it whenever I want, and the second thing was that it should be affordable. So that was the two things that I had in mind, but I don't think I really panned out how the platform was going to look like.
No, but that's profound. And I hear two things. I hear affordability, and on the other hand, I hear also that it wasn't an uncommon thing to bring your child to a therapist.
Yeah.
So maybe it was also the availability without the let's say boundary of bringing parents who need to bring your child to a therapist, maybe.
Yeah, it was, because I just give you a little bit of background, if that's okay. I'm the eldest daughter in my household. There's just me and my sister. So we didn't have I couldn't really, because I'm the eldest daughter, I couldn't go and tell them what I'm feeling. Because I thought that, they're going to judge me for it, or they're going to dismiss it, which later it did happen that when I told them that, I've been feeling this way, they did dismiss it. Like my mom specifically, she was like, no, nothing like that. You're too much on your phone, or go for a walk or something like that. So, I think I had those two fears, that I have to be strong for the entire house, or whatever I was thinking at that point of time. So I couldn't just go and tell them, because I did see where they were sort of coming from. I think where my parents come from, they're from I wouldn't say they're my dad is from a smaller town than my mom, and they both very foreign to the idea of therapy and therapists and mental illness, or not just mental illness, but even just regular mental health. So that wasn't really a thing, it wasn't really basically a thing. Yeah.
A thing to talk about freely, openly.
Yeah. It wasn't talked about in my household. Even I think at that point of time, this is 2012, 2013 that I'm talking about. Yeah. Even then, it wasn't a big topic.
No, it wasn't even openly spoken about, and it was still far before the first pandemic. And I think, do you think that the pandemic helped us to open up and make it a more, a matter and a subject that we can freely open talk about?
I think the pandemic, yes, it played a part, because everyone was isolated. They didn't really have anyone to talk to. A lot of people were isolated alone, like students who couldn't go back home or something like that. And also, young professionals who were working outside. I think that was one of the things. And the other thing I would say here played a big role is social media. There's more content creators coming up, and there's more people who are just openly talking about these things. So I think two things which really played a big major role in people really opening up and thinking about their own struggles has been the pandemic and also social media.
Before we dive deeper into the who you are and where does it come from, first some more digging into Amber. Previously Espresso, I think. Eh?
Yes.
So what made you change the name?
I think I wanted just a fresh start because Espresso was more, it was still in mental well-being, but it was more focused around workplace well-being. That came from a point where I was really struggling in my workplace. I used to work for a US company before this, so we had crazy work hours. My manager, wasn't like the manager that I kind of imagined. She was really good at her job, but it wasn't the kind of manager who nurtured me or my skills. That's how I felt. And I just felt very alone at that time. So I also talked to a lot of other people, and most of the people were like, I'm burnt out. And I went to a lot of events, and I was like, hey, this could be something that is needed. And that's what 𝗪𝗻 came out of. But a lot happened with 𝗪𝗻. It was more B2B, and coming from a non-technical background at that point of time, it was hard for me to bridge all of that. We did have a good wait list and everything, but I just was so tired because it was such a big vision that I had. And this is, I would say, an amateur entrepreneur mistake that you make. You make the platform very polished. Before you test it out with the customers, or you find customers, and all of those things I did. All the rookie mistakes, if I would say, I made at that point of time.
May I jump in?
Yes, sure thing.
Jump in? There's not such a thing, in my opinion, as an amateur entrepreneur.
Okay.
You are a learning startup entrepreneur, figuring out the product market fit, figuring out your role as an entrepreneur. And because I hear an inner critic, am I right?
Yes, I am my biggest, or I would say I was my biggest critic. I've gotten a bit softer on me.
All right. And I hope you will allow yourself to, let's say, embrace a little bit the words I'm going to use. But I admire you jumping into entrepreneurship, figuring out, okay, but what is the actual problem I would love to solve? It came out of a sort of quote-unquote pain you were experiencing at that moment. What's not to admire about that? It's my question to you. What really, it's not a trick question, but if I was the person sitting there and you hear this journey, would you have the same critic to that person as you have for yourself?
Oh, you do sound like my therapist. Because this conversation I think I've had before with my therapist before this. But no, I wouldn't really let that person criticize himself or herself, because I think where it came from was a lot of passion, and I think I would cut myself some slack there and say that, take your time to figure things out.
And this okay. is what I love of recording this conversation, because you will for sure listen to this one and never forget it again.
Yeah.
So sorry for jumping in, but so you were figuring out, and that's maybe interesting. We met both at each other at Female Ventures.
Yes.
It's a little sidestep, but it made me think about 𝗪𝗪. And 𝗪𝗪 was the chapter director of Utrecht Female Ventures. And I met 𝗪𝗪 when she just stopped her well-being startup. 1.5 weeks later, I met her sitting in front of 100 entrepreneurs in a panel discussion. Can you imagine sitting there, being roasted and being honest? It was Fuck Up Friday in Utrecht. Mm-hmm. And she was telling about her own fuck-ups in just 1.5 weeks after she had to finish and close down her company. And I said, there are no failures. There are only you win or you learn. Yeah. And that's what it made remember me. And you are so determined and so passionate and just figuring out. You're not a know-it-all. We never are. We will never be. So, but enough about it. Sorry.
No, it's nice. I think it's nice to hear that, because sometimes, as you know, like, we just want to be perfect, and it's tough love that you cannot be perfect. Nah. It's just what it is. It is how it is.
Just get me curious. Sorry, I can't help myself. What's your definition of perfect?
I don't have one anymore. I think I let go of being or trying to be perfect, because there is no such thing as perfect.
It's an illusion, right?
Yeah. I think for example, you see an influencer on social media and you're like, oh my God, she's perfect. I do that. I still do that. I'm just sitting.
You are human.
Yeah, I'm human. But, you know, and then the next reel I saw a sea of hers, she's complaining about, you know, her skin or her hair or something. And I'm like, there's no such thing as perfect. There's, you know, no one's perfect. No one's doing life perfectly. I think that's just...
That's true. Nobody is perfect and I'm nobody. Did I say that? That's really lame, eh?
Yeah.
All right, back on topic, because so you were figuring out that where we were is that with 𝗪𝗻 you changed the name, and your initial thought was came out of your experience working in a US company, and it was all focused about achievement and less about, well, the people side and well-being and checking in on each other. And so, but there came a moment that you thought, hey, 𝗪𝗻 to Amber. What was that moment? And
I think I was lost with 𝗪𝗻. I knew I could do it. But I think from within, I was just... So I have this thing with me, and I cannot really explain it. When I think of something, it just needs to click. Like in my head, like it needs to be like, what do you call it? Eureka moment. Where you're like, okay, yes. I wasn't getting that click anymore. I was like, I need it to give me that rush when I think of it. And it wasn't giving me that rush. It was just making me sad that, you know, I used to think of it that way, that I wasted so much time. I'm not good enough. You know, I won't be able to do this. I had 300 people on the wait list. I had people trying out the product, but I was just like, this is not it. This is not what, if I go with it long enough, I'm not going to be happy with it, even if I'm able to build it. Because how I see being an entrepreneur is, no matter how many hardships you have, if you really believe in the vision, no matter how much you need to tweak it, you're still going to go for it. And it just wasn't happening for me. So I took a break in summers. And
where was it?
In June, July
2020
last year.
Yeah, 2024. So you started in, just to draw a little timeline, you started initially with 𝗪𝗻
in 2023.
Yeah?
I think, yeah.
When we met, you were just working on 𝗪𝗻. Yeah, okay.
And then in 2024, I think a lot of other personal stuff also happened at that time, so that wasn't helping either. And then I was like, no, man, I need to take a break. So last year, we just traveled. I laid on the couch most of the time, watched a lot of trash TV, read a lot of books, played a lot with my dog, walked her way too much. And then I took therapy. And then I came up. I was almost at the point where I was like, I am going to give up on entrepreneurship. This is not for me. I'm not cut out for it because, you know, at that point I was thinking I'm not perfect. I don't have the skills. I don't have the connections. I don't have a lot of things. So I'm just going to like stop it. And then I don't know what clicked. I was like, no, I'm going to rebrand it. I'm going to start fresh. So I crossed out the entire 𝗪𝗻 and I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, no hard feelings. That's the way I went with it. But you know, I'm jumping timelines because it took me a long time.
Yeah, it is never a linear path, right? It is messy in the middle. It's with a lot of uncertainty. Yet there is something interesting. You said you made very clear that I didn't know, and all of a sudden it clicked. I think you know why.
I think so. I think I've always had this thing where I wanted to make mental health accessible. I think that is what I was doing with 𝗪𝗻 as well, even if it was more focused on workplace well-being.
Yes.
I think I just found myself more passionate towards opening it up. Why just workplace well-being when everybody needs therapy or someone to talk to, or everybody at some point of time, they need help, no matter how small or big. So I think at that point, that is what I was really leaning towards. And that's what sort of clicked for me.
Yeah, and I can imagine how much of the moment that it clicked was related to your own mental state.
A lot. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think most of it was because of how I was doing at the moment.
You needed to go rock bottom in order. That sounds like, it's an assumption a little bit, but it sounds like you needed almost the moment rock bottom to understand, hey, wait a minute. Here's the thing I would really love to add and to jump in and to add value, to figure out how can I help, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that is what just happened for me, because I took a little bit of a break in between. I was like, this is not happening. I don't know what to do. And I literally went on a break. I did nothing. I just, like I told you, I would like to call it wasting my time. I don't think that's the right way to look at it.
It was the best investment ever.
It was like putting, you put your phone on charging. I was charging at that time because I was so tired. And when I did that, I was like, okay, yeah, this is something that's, I think I could do. And even the main thing that I had in my head is that at that time when I was so tired, I was not doing okay, and a lot of things were going on. Espresso, sort of the vision got lost, the motivation and the passion and the drive, all of it went away. So I took a step back, and I thought that if I am in this situation again, will I be able to do this thing? That is how I look at Amber. That even if I have a bad day, will I go back to it, still passionate, still, even on a bad day, will I still do it, So it's a lot like walking my dog. Even on a bad day, I walk her because I love her and I need to take her out and I need to fulfill her needs. And that is how I see Amber, that even if I'm having a bad day, and I still have bad days where I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
We all have it.
But I still show up, and I have been showing up since October of 2024 is when I relaunched Amber.
Yeah.
Was it October or November? And I launched it, and I had bad days, but I was still I was showing up, even if I took a day off. I still do. I take like a day off just to tell myself that, hey, I'm self-employed and I can do this. So I'm like, okay, I can take a day off. I can go stroll on a Wednesday and come back and work. So I think that is what has been really the click moment, and something that I've really now I really enjoy doing what I'm doing.
Beautiful. And when you look at Amber as is, what can you share us about the proposition and what you're actually trying to achieve and offer?
I think, just like I said, someone who is there for you 24/7, who you can go to and talk to, no matter how small the thing is. For example, you're going in a meeting and you're really anxious and you just need to talk to someone because that can help. Your therapist, you take regular therapy, but your therapist is out of office, and you need someone because you're not doing okay, and you just need someone to talk to, and you can go to Amber to do that. That's what I have been trying to do. That's what my vision is, to just give people that space, a safer space to talk to if they have limitations. For example, they're not feeling safe enough to go to a therapist's office, because finding the right therapist is also a whole another journey. I've been through mine, and I have talked to a lot of people who've been through the same, that, I didn't find a good therapist and XYZ, and, just getting to, feeling that it's a safe space and you can talk to it, and it will not judge you back because it is a machine.
Do you also believe, because that was one of the reasons why I did the trauma stress studies of Bessel van der Kolk, of the author of the book The Body Keeps the Score.
Yeah.
One of the reasons was, one is personal personal focused, and the other one is how can I help a lot of people around me by being more trauma informed. And one of the things struck me was that the outdated DSM-5, so the way we diagnose mental health states and also health challenges, is very outdated and is also very human thought driven, because it's dependent. There's a lot of dependency about the state of mind of the therapist you're talking to, the number of biases someone is having at the moment, the person, the therapist you're talking with, and then that person, based on own feelings, thoughts, beliefs, systems, and everything, has to diagnose you out of a lot of things what might be diagnosed. And what I got curious about is, can we use and leverage AI in such a way that we can far more thoroughly, faster, helping people to diagnose the root cause of the challenges they're experiencing in mental health, and what role can AI play in that? Is that something what you're also looking at, or is it more the companion and it stays the companion? Where are you?
No, I think definitely diagnosis with AI can be something which I think it is something which can be very accurate. It can be without any bias, as you said, I think it can be really accurate and, to a point that we can really have also an accurate, like a prescription, right, for the problem. This is something that is on the roadmap for me, that I would like to go to it eventually, where it could be. But that being, what was your other question?
No, the question is if that's also something in future. What is on the roadmap? So your answer is yes, and I believe that when there is a sort of AI assisted diagnosis, so we have a proper conversation one-on-one with a therapist, yet also like an autopilot, but trained, of course, autopilot with all the background and all the data of diagnosis, which can enrich the diagnosis. I really believe that we are able as therapists, when we allow to use with technology, that's a challenge. To properly diagnose somebody, and we can help someone in a very fast and a very early stage. So it was I think you answered the question. That's interesting. So a companion for now, the companion, and are you still on the waiting list? What is the stage of the company right now? I think we're at 500 users. I don't check it every day because then I get really, really obsessed with it. But I think we're at 500 users, which is, I projected that we would be at 200, but we're already at 500, which is for me a big thing. We are going to start a pilot with a Dutch company. I don't want to take their name just in case they pull off. But we're also exploring the angle where we can help employees. So we would tweak it a little bit to be more work focused, because we can do that. And then I have multiple calls scheduled with psychiatrists and therapists to see if there's an intersection of using Amber with their practice, or how they can leverage an AI, chatbot, so to say, to use it side by side with their practice. So those are like three. I'm spreading myself, in directions which will help me sort of figure out what is the best direction to go in. I do think that all three of them is something that I really just, if more people I'm able to reach, the better it is. Yes, and ultimately at the end of the day, you know how it works. Focus is of the essence at the end of the day. But and it's interesting that you now came to the point in your life that you finally say, I'm allowing to figure it out.
Yeah, so, I'm just allowing myself.
So you're allowing yourself to be the entrepreneur who's figuring out the way forward and the best possible solution. Ah, well, that's great. And maybe I can help you on the B2B side. So that would be interesting to look into. Hey, that's also what's interesting is that you were rock bottom at the moment, and you were binging and a lot of walking with the dog, and there you made the decision to go for therapy. How did you find your therapist? You mentioned just shortly, but that's also a challenge. How to match and find the right therapist at that moment.
Yeah.
So what helped at first? What helped you to go to a therapist? Was it yourself, or did someone in your close environment nudge you, like, hey, come on, you have to do something because you're not in a good place right now? Or did you say yourself, because your upbringing was, you don't go to a therapist? So I can imagine maybe that was also in play. So the first thing is acknowledging. Yeah,
I think I actually went to a therapist even before this therapist in 2021 or 2. I'm not sure, but
was it pre or post or
post-COVID? It was still opening up, but yeah, that therapist, I did not. Again, like I said, finding yourself a therapist is a journey, and at that time, because it was my first therapist, I was like, hey, whatever he says is right. Yes. I mean, if he's saying it, he's qualified, I don't know, he's right. One thing he said was, you're being too much. Your emotions are too much. They're affecting my vibes. And I'm like, excuse me. I was really upset. Something really, really lot.
Are you for real a therapist?
Exactly.
In the professional setting of the therapist? Yeah. And where was it in the practice? It was. You don't have to mention a name, or but it was at the practice of the therapist, or was it remote?
We did it on video call, but it was still an ongoing session. It was not chitty chatty.
You are too much.
Yes, you're being too much. Like
That's the best thing to say to you, right?
Yeah, exactly. When I was literally. It was a hard day. I was literally having a breakdown, and he was like. You're being too much. You're affecting my aura or vibe or whatever word he used. And then I was just like, and then he's like, let's do deep breaths. And I'm like, I cannot take deep breaths.
Hyperventilating, right?
Hyperventilating. So, and then thankfully there was the last session with him for real. And then and he said, no, you're okay. You're good to go. Then that's what he said, and he was expensive, of course. And then a year or two, I was like, I'm okay, I think I'm okay. And then in 2024, that's when a lot of stuff went down. I went back home after a while, like after 2 years, and a lot of stuff happened, and I did not enjoy it. I came back in a very, very bad mental state. I did reach out to that therapist because in my head, I was like, I think he's okay. Right? Maybe I was being too much. Thank God I didn't go forward with him. I just didn't really feel that I should. I thought I should find someone new. But even before that, I think I owe a lot to my boyfriend, who I've been with for six years, I think. I lost count, but I owe a lot to him because he was like, he saw me go through a lot, and he's seen me go through a lot from. We know each other since we were 18 years old. We didn't really start dating then, but we still were talking, and he has seen me go through a lot. But I think at that point of time in 2024, when I came back from India, and I would just lie down on the couch, and I would just like keep staring at things. It was honestly, it was really creepy. And it was really, really sad.
Your words.
No, it is my words, because I think he came out of a meeting, and I was just like, and then I think giving credit to my little sister, she wasn't there with me because she is studying in the UK and everything. But I think, I share a lot with her, and she was like, dude, you're fully messed up. You need help. You should go. And then my boyfriend was like, you need help. So just two people in my life were like, two really important people, and then my boyfriend was like, and every day he would be like, you need to find a therapist. I'm like, are you calling me crazy? He's like, no, but you're not doing okay. You're not doing okay. You need to find a therapist. So I go, and he said specifically, I think the previous therapist was also white. And I didn't think much of it. I was like, he's going to get it right. But he was white, but he was not Dutch white. He was like, I think, Turkish-ish something. So not completely in that space, but he didn't get a lot of stuff, and he would keep comparing my problems to his problems. I'm like, excuse me, that's not a nice thing to do.
As a therapist?
Yeah. Like, my mom's also like that. I'm like, excuse me.
Interesting role.
Interesting. But then, then I thought that I need to find someone who is from my background, who is Indian, and who gets what I'm saying. So I found this really nice therapist on a website, and she was great. I think since the first session, it was hard for me to open up, but yeah, she was. I would say the last session that I had with her, I said, you saved my life. Lady, I wouldn't be here. I would still be sitting on the couch staring at the ceiling if it weren't for you. She was very humble, so she said, no, it was all you. But, I would still say that a lot of it was her. She really, really helped me through a lot of stuff. So, that was my journey to finding.
Wow, to finding. Yeah. And you mentioned something interesting. Do you think that cultural background is similar cultural background is a necessity? I'm a little bit over-exaggerating, of course, but is a necessity in order to reach a level of understanding of each other, to be of help for each other, or was it very necessary because of the bad previous? Why do you believe that's a cultural importance?
I do. I'm usually not a big fan of the whole, I need to find someone from my own culture or something like that. But I think that's when I realized that no, it is important, because there are certain things that you cannot explain to someone who's super Western. It is hard because you see that shock on their face. They're like, huh, that happens? And I don't want to give you the entire background while we only have an hour, right, in the session. Maybe if your therapist is good, you have 1.5 hours. But most of the time, if you're just giving them your background and trying to explain it to them and making them comfortable, saying that no, this is okay. Like, for example, in India, there's this thing called arranged marriages, which is basically your parents pick a husband for you. That's completely normal. There's nothing alarming about it. But to someone, even I think for you, because you have been born, brought up. I'm
trying to get the normal to reach the point that I keep my face in a normal thing, because it really does something on the central nervous system level. Being a father of 3 beautiful daughters, and then the youngest one is right over your shoulder to the right for me, and I was like, no way.
But that happens, and it's pretty it shouldn't be normal, I think, but it is normal. So because and there's a lot of things, and she gets it right. She gets what I'm talking about. She gets. So I do think that cultural background is really, really important for you, especially if you're from a different culture. I think if you're European, for example, or American, go ahead, find a different kind of, someone who's Western. So they probably get you. But I think especially for Asians, we have crazy families. So it's important that you get someone who gets that, who you're not trying to explain.
No, but I was, of course, and I can imagine and understand why that is. And certainly when the first experience was as it was, really bad. And then it's all about trust building also. And I believe that feeling understood while not having to explain everything, that clicks faster, and you can reach a faster a point of trust to go to the root causes instead of drawing a picture for somebody else and being afraid of someone else's opinion what you're just telling, right?
Yeah.
So no, I can imagine. And hey, wait, where you're talking about, and that's interesting because I believe, and I came to find out, but I believe that there is a lot of our personal journey is related to why we're doing what we're doing. I really believe that. And especially when we're in the field of change makers in social impact, helping people in the best possible way to thrive. And in some sort of way, you're aiming for that also with Amber. And it's support, but it might be also prevention, somewhere in the middle. And I believe that if that's intrinsic motivated, it has a strong correlation to our background and our upbringing and where we come from. When you're mentioning home, where is home for you?
Where is home? I would say this is home, even though I am an expat, but I've never felt more at home than here in the Netherlands.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. But if you were to say where I come from, I would say I come from India.
Yeah, because you mentioned just one or two times when I was home. I was back at home again, and then, then was home India. So that's for me that's interesting because the Netherlands really feels at home.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about home, then you were talking about back to India, right?
Yeah.
All right. So but tell me a little bit more about why the Netherlands home. Why can you? Is there something?
Yeah, I think I feel it just fits. You know, even though I'm still learning the language, and most of the time
are you? So we can switch in Dutch?
No, we cannot.
We don't.
No, sorry.
Okay.
I can only order at Albert Heijn if you wanna. just that much. I'm still trying to learn, even though I don't understand, and it might sound crazy, but it's just I feel like this is a place where I'm accepted, where I can be myself without trying to sugarcoat myself. You know, with Dutch people, it's just, you can be direct, get out of my house or something like that, you know. I enjoy it. I don't need to cater to other people's feelings too much. You know, I think as Indians, I don't want to speak for everyone, but at least for me, I was a people pleaser. I think once a people pleaser, always a people pleaser. But I think it's gotten a bit better. Like, I'm not really big people's pleaser anymore. I was at some point of time. I would say anything, do anything to make the other person feel comfortable. That has changed, you know. Being here, it's been liberating. I can step out of my house whenever I want to. I can drive my car, you know. No one's telling me, don't go here, don't go there. It's nightfall. You should be back. You shouldn't go out of your house. That's not there anymore. I'm like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. It's my life. And I am able to say that. And it just feels really nice.
I can imagine that's a liberating feeling. You allowing, that your surrounding is appreciating, encouraging, allowing you to be whoever you want to be, right? Yeah. And I heard it quite often when I listened to Rangan Chatterjee, an Indian, he grew up in the UK, but he's from migrant parents from India. Jay Shetty is from, also with Indian background, Indian, and the upbringing is very much centered around obligations, expectations, and opinions. Yeah. And I can imagine, I think I'm a rebel, so I think it wouldn't have worked out very well if I'm living there, because in India, as much as I love to be there now, I can say finally, but allowing yourself feeling that you can be yourself, whoever you want to be, and very straightforward. That's really good, right? That's a liberating feeling. But let's go back to India and upbringing. How much of your do you believe there's a strong relationship to how the upbringing and the why you're doing what you're doing right now?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with it, but it can be in both senses. Like, you've had such a great upbringing that you do everything right, or however you see it, or it can be that a lot of mistakes that your parents did, or that you think they made, or you did not agree with, it made you the person who you are. For me, it's a good mix. I think my parents gave me a lot of things, but also lacked a lot. I also lacked a lot of things. So I think that sort of made me who I really am today. Some things I agree with, some things I don't. Mostly I don't agree with a lot of things.
Can you give some vivid examples of what you're not agreeing? Because that show, of course, gives us also a little bit insight in who are you.
Yeah. For example, I think this is true for a lot of women that I know in my life who are also Indian. It's really hard to be a girl in India, I would say. I think today it's getting more progressive, getting better, but it is unsafe, I would say, in a lot of ways. So there's also this expectation that my parents had, and they were really, for a long time, they were really upset. I don't know if they're upset today or not. I'm not going to ask them because I don't want the answer anymore. They were really upset that they didn't have a boy child, that it was just me and my sister, and they were really upset by it, even though they're really educated. My dad is a really nice man. I love him, and my mom. But they both, they had this thing in their heads that I wish, we had a boy. And a lot of times this conversation has just gone around really casually. If I was normal, I would accept it that, okay, yeah, I lack something, but I was like, what don't I have that, a boy can give you? They also have this thing called that the daughters are someone else's property, or a daughter is someone else's. Yeah, you basically get married and then you just go away, and then you don't live with your parents anymore, but your entire freedom depends on your husband or whoever they get you married to. So these are the things that they expected me to do. They did want me to get educated, so at least I didn't have to go through that they just didn't want me to get educated, thankfully. They wanted me to be educated. They wanted me to do well, but only till a certain level. Don't become too successful or
independent.
Independent was, I think my dad always said that, do something big. Even today I go back home, he's like, do something big. I'm like, dude, what are you saying? What do you mean by big? But I think this is something that is there in their heads, that don't get too independent, because then, you're not going to fit in this mold that we wanted you to fit in. And that's just, hard to sort of go through, because I think even I think I'm going to be 25 and they're still like, you need to get married. My mom specifically, my dad doesn't say that, but my mom's like, you need to get married. It's time to get married. It's time to get married. I'm like, I don't want, it has to be on my terms, not on your terms. That's how I see it.
Do you feel obligated to even answer when your mother says something? Do you feel, what does it do in yourself?
Good question. I've had a very complex dynamic with my mom growing up, but I think I haven't tested it out since I've been to therapy. It's gotten much better that now I do feel like, I don't need to, I can just shut up. My sister, she's very diplomatic, so she always says, why do you need to go and say things? Just shut up, just shut up. But I'm taking it more into practice, that I just need to shut up, don't engage. Eventually she'll be quiet, she's just gonna keep saying, and then eventually she's gonna just quiet calm down with everything. But I just don't, I think I just don't have it in me to shut up. And like, if I feel like I don't agree with this, I need to say it, that I don't agree with it. But I think I've gotten better at it, at not saying everything that I feel like saying if I don't agree with it.
I think in your deeds is already enough expression, or a lot of expression of who you are and where you stand for and what do you value and what for you is important. Yeah. But it takes time because it's your mother and there are expectations, and answering is also because we don't feel that urge from everybody, but specific people in the first close circle where you have that urge. Yeah. But it's interesting that obligation we feel in ourselves, even though maybe sometimes silencing and let it go, it doesn't work like that, yeah. Right?
No, I think I'm getting much better at just chilling out.
You mentioned, and that is a worldview challenging, to be honest, my worldview challenging thing you mentioned, to maybe rather prefer, in my words, rather prefer that you were a boy instead of a girl. That really hit hard. I don't know. And it's like, do you feel accepted by your parents right now?
No, I don't think so. I think they're getting better at it, or they have to get better at it. I think I've made it so that they don't have a choice to, it's either you deal with this or you don't deal with it at all. I think they're getting much better at, I think 5 years ago it was where they were just like, no. But especially my mom was like, no, this is not what we want. This is not, we're not going to accept you. I'm like, okay, don't accept me. But I think it's gotten better at, accepting me a bit more for who I am. But I think to that, I don't crave that acceptance anymore. I am done. It is what it is. This is how I am. I think the people who really love me, they accept me. And who don't, I think they can just deal with it. It is what it is.
That sounds powerful. It is powerful. And also I feel a little bit for you because, ultimately they're still your parents. But they will. Time will tell. Yeah. Right?
I think they should be okay soon enough. I think the more I grow and the more they age, I think they feel that, it's that they can have a good relationship. Both of us can, if we just extend some courtesy towards each other, If I am trying to be quiet, maybe you can try to be quiet too, or not. But at least I think it's more about the boundaries that I have created for myself, that I uphold them, more than expecting them to uphold those boundaries.
Again, expecting, right? So it's better to control which is in your first ring of influence instead of trying to control which isn't controllable. Yeah. Wow. How does it feel to speak so openly about such a personal matter?
Honestly, if someone asks me, I never shy away from it because I think it is what it is really what it is. It is my story, I shouldn't shy away from it or sugarcoat it or, I'm not going to trauma dump, but I'm also not going to be like, no,
trauma dump.
No, hey, everything is, everything is fine. But I mean, it is, it's like, what if my mom hears this and she's going to be like, why did you say that about me?
I truly appreciate it because I can imagine many other girls listening to this conversation, women listening to this conversation, maybe also went to the same kind of expectations, obligations, opinions, in upbringing, in cultural context, whatever. But it might be very helpful to open up. And so I really appreciate your openness about it. Thank you very much. And well, let's move a little bit forward to the challenges in entrepreneurship. So, what are the challenges right now in going to market or fundraising or whatever? We also and where do you need some help with from out of our network? Because I think Amber should become big.
Yeah, me too.
And should have a position in life to make mental health affordable, available, and accessible to many. Right?
Yeah.
You should write that down. You remember
yes,
that?
I
do. So having said that, so making it accessible, affordable, and available to many, what are the biggest challenges at this moment?
I think one of them is, I won't say like a challenge, but this is something which is upcoming, is I'm going to start fundraising. So I think that is going to be a challenge. When I do start fundraising, a lot of rejections, a lot of not, because a lot of investors need warm intros and I don't know how to get warm intros. So that is one thing which is it's also a little daunting to sort of reach out to someone, hey, invest in me. So I think that is one thing. The other thing is just growing big. I think that's always going to be a challenge, to grow. The more users I hit, the more I'm like, it's 500. No, it should be 600. No, it should be 700. So I think that's always going to keep happening. But I think, that's like two of the main things that really matter for me. And the third thing is just, building out a good team for myself.
Yes.
But, and the company, like to have more help around it, to have great individuals who also believe in the same vision to work with me on this.
Besides founder and maybe in the future co-founder, this stage is still possible that you find your late co-founders. What would be the preferable role for you? Not only being the CEO and the founder, yada yada yada, but what specifically would be the preferable role for you?
I think I would always like to stay in the role that I am right now. Just, a founder who's trying to grow the company and take it to different heights, be it marketing, be it into product development, because I also learned how to code and build the product myself. So I definitely want to be involved in that. But I also come from a marketing background, so I also enjoy doing that. And I also love talking to my customers and getting feedback from it. So I think I like being spread around in different directions. And I hope it always, I hope I'm never like constricted to just, this is the only thing that you can do. And, technical part has been given up to someone else. I definitely want to be involved in like both the things, not like a control freak, but more like, I really, really enjoy getting new ideas, because I have an ADHD and I get bored if I keep at one thing. If I'm too much into product development, I just get so bored. So I need to take myself out of it and get into marketing, which is a little more creative and, really get out there. And then I also like to make posts and reels and also talk to my customers. So, I like being spread around in different directions. It's really fun.
Well, it can be a strength and it can be a challenge, right?
Yeah.
To have that inner stance, and but time will tell. And what's interesting is that maybe I can help you a little by quote unquote forcing you to decide right now. If you have to decide, it's marketing or product. What is going to be?
Product, definitely product, and it doesn't really need to be the development. But I think a good product that serves the customer, which is the king, the queen, that is what matters for me. having a good product, having what the customers need. That's your, as you say, product market fit.
Yes. And building the partnerships you're now figuring out what do we have to think about, and you don't have to mention the name, but what are you thinking about in the proposition towards companies?
I think it's just having someone 24/7, or for the work hours. I don't think 24/7 really applies for companies. It is more like for the work hours, you have someone to talk to, which is anonymous. I was really shocked to find out that some of these employee programs, really, they share data with the HR, which makes it redundant. Like why would I talk freely about them if I'm not feeling safe with the platform I'm using? So it's more of that thing. For example, this is one use case that I give all the time. I'm feeling really anxious. I have a big meeting coming up discussing my performance. Can you give me a pep talk? This can be something that you can discuss with the Amber, that, then Amber's just going to give you some tips and tricks on how you can feel more confident, and how you can just, ground yourself, or whatever you need in the moment, because you guide the conversation. Amber just helps you decide what kind of support you sort of need. This is the vision I'm looking for. And for the perspective of the HR, because you do need some metrics.
Yes.
We do have, metrics in the dashboard, which you can see, like engagement or happiness score. If people are really stressed, you want to know that. But all of this is anonymous. We don't send conversations to the HR, because that would make no sense. No. I don't know why people do that.
So it's still one-on-one support in a workplace context.
Yes.
And it will be, and who is the payer will be the employer.
Yes.
And it will be beneficial for the employee. And there will be a strict line when it comes to confidentiality and sharing. And is it text-based or is it voice-based? Or
it is text-based. But now that you ask me, it was going to be a little bit of a surprise, but it is going to
be... spoiler alert.
No, but I am working on a voice model as well, where you can talk to Amber, you can send your voice note, and Amber is going to talk to you back in voice, or you can type and choose if you want it to be voice. You want to hear it back, or do you want to text back?
Yeah, because it makes it also one of the three affordable, available, and accessible. It helps also accessibility, right? For some people prefer voice, and technology is rapidly evolving in that space. So I really believe in having multiple ways to use Amber. All right. If people would, so we can find Amber right now. Where can we find it?
It is the website's 𝗪𝗵mind.ai.
𝗪𝗵mind.ai.
Yes, it was a domain issue.
Why?
I couldn't find the Amber.ai was like super expensive, so I just went with 𝗪𝗵mind because it still has the mind in it. It's just, founder tricks and tips and tricks. Find the cheapest domain you can find, which makes sense. But that's where you can find it, and you can just sign up to it and start using it. Pretty simple.
So I'm definitely going to start using it. I'm really curious. And when somebody is listening to our conversation and would love to reach out to you, where can we find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. It's Kuhu Singh. I'm pretty accessible there. I don't I'm not going to share my WhatsApp number or something.
No, of course not. No, that we never do, and I won't do. Okay, that's. And maybe the last question for our conversation of today is: what is your big dream and vision? What is your big dream with Amber?
I just want it to be, sure, being big is one thing, but it depends on what sense of big am I talking about. I just want that, when I just want to help as many people as I can, be it in the context of helping more professionals or helping more young adults in all the safety barrier that I can put in, just helping as many people as I can. I think that will make Amber big for me. I still see it as a big thing that, we are at 500 users and we're talking to so many people. I'm getting feedback like, I love Amber. That's all that one person got back to me. I asked for feedback. She's like, I love Amber. I'm like, okay, good. That's good feedback. I just want to really reach people and help them take off anything that's on their chest.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you very much for our conversation for today. And
yes.
I'm definitely going to look it up deeper and start my... maybe one question, is it a subscription thing? Or what?
We did add a subscription, but you do have a free, you can use it. We offer 25 messages every day. So yes. It resets at 12 a.m. your time.
Yes.
So you can talk to it. And then if you want to subscribe to premium, you can subscribe to it. For premium users, you have unlimited messages. We're adding the voice feature and a lot of other stuff for the premium members who are going to get early access to it.
Yeah.
You can.
Beautiful. Looking forward to it. And maybe it's also good for investors who are listening that they can reach out. When do you think you're going to start your fundraising?
I already started a little bit of an angel round, more for mentors and, someone who really just likes the idea and just wants to get the early checks in. But I will be starting fundraising mid-May. I think we'll have more. I'll be more ready for fundraising by then.
And it is not meant to be a trick question, yet it is not an easy one to answer, and still I'm going to ask him, so forgive me, sorry, not sorry. Can you describe maybe the ideal investor?
I think the ideal investor, I would say there's always 2-3 ideal investors that I have in my mind. I don't have just one. I think definitely one of them would be who would lead the round for me, who has a bigger check, because the more money I have, the better I'm able to build a platform, the better I'm able to build a team. But ideally, I would also want someone who is interested in mental health, the intersection of AI. So that would be one of the things. Third thing would be someone who is passionate about this field and helping people. And I think whoever I want them to come in, I really want them to believe in me and, that I am able to deliver whatever you need. But it is more in the context of my customers, of how passionate I am. I want them to be, passionate, understand where I'm coming from. I think that's the 2 or 3 people that I really see I hope there's a, all-in-one package.
Well, or now all in one, or at least the 2 of 3 out of 3 would be represented, and then the lead investor, the one who really properly understands AI, but also really emphasize with the cause you are and the mission you are on, because it's interesting. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being here, and. I'm looking forward to follow you and your journey, and wherever I can help, I will help you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me, Michiel.